So I'm just talking about the supremacy of Christ. Because it's new seasons. There is no question. He is the head. He is above all things. He's the King of Kings. There is no one who could hold a light next to Jesus. He does not sleep. He does not slumber. He does not wait for anything or anyone. The name above all names, the victory is his forever. Have I made myself clear? In this season, there will be many who try to hold up a different light other than that the teachings of Jesus are supreme. They are more than just lessons, they are life. Now don't be fooled, because even though his image has been smeared and his teachings have been jeered, I dare you to taste and to see. I dare you to seek and to feel it out for yourself. See, people are perishing for the lack of knowledge of how wonderful and beautiful he truly is. Come to me, he says. He turns no one away. He will not strike you with lightning. Instead, he will fill you with fire. Are you ready for a fire today? Because the fire is a gift. It's a fire that must be tasted and it must be received. Come on. Do you know what the world needs now? It is a fire within. Oh man, and in the end days, the fire is poured out on all people, both your sons and your daughters. Your young men and your old men. Come on. Your mothers and your sisters. Come on. It is a fire that is promised. A fire within. A fire to guide you along this twisted path we call life. He promises his fire as a gift to anyone who asks. You can't look at the deep end of a pool and think you know what it's like to swim in its waters. You can't know what it's like to sail the seas watching YouTube channels on sailing. If you want to know something, you actually have to jump in and feel the waters. Test the skill of your knowledge in the physical world. Speaking of taking on the physical world, the Word, the very creator of the universe, thought it was so important, the flesh, this physical realm, that he took it upon himself. And he just didn't test his knowledge. He came and he took on the physical world. Even unto death. But do you know what the world needs now? Some good old-fashioned gospel. But this time without the hype, but with all the fire. See, John the Baptist came baptizing with water when Jesus first arrived on the scene, but there is a new baptism. There's a new baptism that precedes this end of this season, the baptism of fire. Oh man, don't be afraid. Jump in. So, if Jesus is supreme and we could have a relationship with him, what exactly does that look like? Well, it begins with prayer. And there is no such thing as a perfect prayer or a certain formula. But just get honest with yourself. Be quiet, sit in stillness, and just think of the Creator. And just meditate in silence for a while. And Jesus teaches us how to pray. He says, when you pray, begin with, and he gives the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We all know it. We have it memorized, right? It's becoming more and more the fact that people that don't have it memorized because they used to force you to teach in the schools. But what's the point of forced repetition? But when you actually begin to really pray, it is a really good formula for prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, the Creator, it is above. He is above us. above us physically, but above us spiritually. You know, he is all in all. The universe is so huge. Well, he's the creator of the universe. You know, there's so many unseen forces. He is the creator of these unseen forces. So yes, our Father who art in heaven, who is above us, who is supreme, hallowed be thy name. You know, holy is your name. Just like, wow, I just stand in awe of you. Right? We were looking at the James Webb Telescope pictures coming out, and you have no choice but to be in awe of like our universe and the size of it. No wonder it could be hard for some people to understand, like, oh, the creator of this whole thing is Jesus living in 2,000 years ago. And some people, especially in our culture, has decided that this is an old ancient myth. But, you know, its teachings have been proven true. And the fact that human beings have taken the answer and used it for its own rebellion is a perfect example of sin. You know, our human nature is just so flawed that even when God comes to the earth, we use his banner, we use his name, we use his, you know, the gospels that were written about him to, you know, manipulate the system. But Jesus himself is so far removed from human nature because he is, you know, the Word, the Creator, becoming flesh and to dwell among us. And he wants a relationship with us. You know, he's not the deistic God, far away, far removed. He is a personal God. He wants to have a relationship. You know, that's why, you know, the ancient heroes in the Bible became so strong, so powerful in their faith, was because they had an actual relationship where they felt like they could commune with God. Abraham is an example. Moses is an example. David, you know, he was just a shepherd boy out in the pastures, and he made songs to God, like as he looked up to the heavens. You know what I mean? He had a relationship. And it's hard to believe that the creator of the universe wants a relationship and that he wants to put his spirit inside you as a deposit, guaranteeing what's to come. Because our world is crumbling in on itself. You know, the ways of our human nature are making the whole world groan, waiting for, you know, the redemption, the solution to all of our problems. Because if we continue in this trajectory, we will surely all die. And if there is a rock that comes flinging across the far reaches of the galaxy to hit land in one of our oceans, kaboom, it's devastating. But death comes to everybody. If you die by a tsunami or if you die of old age, death is coming. It is arriving quickly. And there's got to be more. There's got to be more to this whole world. And what did God do? He sent his own personal representation himself, his son, into the world to let us know what it was all about. And his message was this: love. The greatest force in the universe is love. And it is a spirit. It is the King Jesus. It is God the Father, the Creator. It is love. And love wants to dwell as a spirit inside of you. And by his spirit, you have a new mind. You have the mind of love. Not love as the world gives. It's not that kind of love. It's not that twisted system. It's a love that the world cannot give. It is a love that has been vindicated in the physical realm on the cross. But don't get wrapped up in all that medieval stuff, because Christianity isn't medieval. It's much more ancient than that. You know, Yahweh, the Father, Even Zoroastrianism, I think it's called. You could date that back to Daniel, a person who had a very strong relationship with God. Or maybe you could go back before the pyramids were built, to Joseph. Joseph, recorded in the book of Genesis, he was a man who had a relationship with God the Creator. And God the Creator took that boy, because of his relationship, straight to the top. Can you hear me today? Am I getting a message through? What I'm saying is that love is all, and in all, love is the supremacy. Oh man, am I preaching to you today? Because it is about time I preach. I need to preach to myself more than anything. Sometimes it takes the spirit of love to be able to pull out what's inside of you, even though you feel like ashamed or like, I don't want to be known as this weird person. I want to be known as normal. But, following Jesus might not seem normal in your culture, or that it's kind of like you believing in Zeus or something. Well, come on. Let me tell you something, that science can be measured, like with study of the natural world. But science can't study the unseen, the unnatural world, the spiritual realm. And there is more going on to this universe. There's more to us after we die. There is more, than the scientific imperial realm. There is a spiritual realm. There is a spiritual realm, and it is power. It is power. And that power is love. The best way to describe love would be in poetry, not in a petri dish. So, in the same way, the best way to describe love ever is to come into the physical realm and to actually taste, touch, and feel those that he loves, his creation. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, love is the center and is in all and above all things, and his name is Jesus. But that spirit could dwell in you. It is light. It is life. It is promises. It is abundance. And it is scary. It is scary because in order to receive this, you have to go all in. You can't just be lukewarm. That's no good. It's like, okay, are you going to go for this Jesus guy or not? Because unless you fully commit, then you can never really know. He is waiting and wanting to get to know you, the Spirit of God. But some people are afraid to step into the light because their deeds are darkness. But he won't strike you with lightning. He will clean you up. The light will refresh. You will listen to so many people with near-death experiences and they meet that light. It is pure love. He has, maybe you might think that there's so many rules and regulations to Christianity. Well, not really, as much as any more than there are rules and regulations in the kitchen. Like, if there is a burning fire, I don't want my 3-year-old daughter to be just like, putting your bare hands in it. There might be a lot of rules and regulations and not get burnt, especially once you start receiving the real fire. Because it's a spiritual battle. It is a spiritual battle, and you can't measure it in a petri dish. And if it's true, the truth will defend itself. If it's a falsity, it will fall to the ground. But anyone who wants to go straight to the top of me, let's go. New seasons. And it's for this reason, since the day we heard about you, we have not stopped praying for you and asking God to fill you with the knowledge of his will, through all spiritual wisdom and understanding. And we pray this in order that you may live a life worthy of the Lord and may please him in every way, bearing fruit in every good work, growing in the knowledge of God, being strengthened with all power according to his glorious might, so that you may have great endurance and patience, and joyfully giving thanks to the Father, who has qualified you to share in the inheritance of the saints in the kingdom of light. Of light. For he has rescued us into the kingdom of his Son he loves, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. See, we're talking about the supremacy of Christ. He is the image of the invisible God. Oh, are you ready for this? He is the firstborn over all creation, for by him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things were created by him and for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. And he is the head of the body of the church. He is the beginning and the firstborn from among the dead, so that in everything he might have the supremacy. For God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in him, and through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether things on earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross. Once you were alienated from God, and were enemies in your minds because of your evil behavior, but now he has reconciled you by Christ's physical body through death, to present you holy in his sight, without blemish and free from accusation. If you continue in your faith, established firm, not moved from the hope held out in the good news, the gospel. This is the gospel that you heard, that has been proclaimed to every corner, every creature under heaven, and of which I, Clayton, have become a servant. Oh, come on. Those who seek, find. Those who ask, act. You know, you can't get a six-pack by sitting and watching people jump around. You actually have to do the jumping. You have to jump around. And in the same way, if you want to experience a fire, a spirit, you have to jump in.